Hi everyone, it's Miss Brenner. I hope you're all doing well and staying happy and healthy. This is our Science Fiction Online Week 14 agenda. So as of right now, you guys should be heading off to Thanksgiving break and having a wonderful holiday. And when you come back, Week 14 will begin on November 30th. So this is our agenda. So if we look at our expectations for Week 14, students will be constructing a project option. That could either be a creative story, short story in the category of horror or fantasy, or your other project option was a literary analysis of 2 short stories using course content. While you're working on that project, you will also be working on reading a short dystopian story to practice the analysis of constructing a dystopian society. You've already completed notes on dystopian societies, so students should know the elements of a dystopia, types of dystopian controls, and they should be able to identify qualities within a text that support a dystopian universe and analyze how a dystopia is formed. Essential questions we'll be looking at are: how do characters come to accept a dystopian society? Why would the society exist in this form? And how does an author use elements of dystopian control to satire our own society? Our first activity is going to be our project workshop. So you should begin working on your creation of your short story or your literary analysis essay. All of the materials that you need, including the directions and the project materials, are available in Activity 1's folder. There is a project proposal, which is through Google Form, that you should complete before you begin actually constructing your project. So that way you at least know which project option you chose and how you're going to start forming that. Make sure that you look at the directions and the rubric before you begin constructing your project, and remember to reference them throughout. In case you should have any questions, make sure to email me if you do have questions about your project. In the Activity 2 folder, we have our EdPuzzle and PDF link for our short story that we will be reading this week, which is To Be or Not to Be by Kurt Vonnegut. It is within the dystopian universe and a very interesting short story. So make sure to complete the EdPuzzle questions and to let it play to the end so that way it will submit itself, so that way I can grade it. There are short answer questions in this EdPuzzle, so it will initially show up as a 0 because it will not self-grade. So please keep that in mind, that if initially when you submit it, it shows up as a 0, it's not because I've graded it as a 0, it's because the system knows that I need to go through and grade it, and it just wants to notify me that you have submitted it. As far as creative writing for this week, we have 4 writing prompts. You must complete 1 with a minimum of 10 sentences. Our options are to write about a pirate captain obsessed with finding a mythical treasure, write about a character who makes a dramatic life change to pursue a goal they've secretly always wanted. Halfway through a fierce competition, your character is given the opportunity to cheat their way to victory. Do they take it? Or you could write about a vampire or werewolf who moves into a quiet suburban neighborhood. Activities 3 and 4 are our discussion posts for this week. There are 2 different discussion posts. One being the discussion post for the project. You should post your shareable link there so that way I can access your project. Please make sure that it is shared with me so that way I actually can access it. I have been noticing some people just post the link at the top of the URL that is not a shareable link. I cannot access it, and so I'm going to have to ask you guys for permission then, and it becomes an ordeal where sometimes you don't notice right away that I'm asking for permission, and then you wonder why your project hasn't been graded yet. So please make sure it is a shareable link so I can access your project. The other discussion post is about the short story To Be or Not to Be by Kurt Vonnegut, and the question for the discussion is: using your notes of dystopian societies as support, how are humans able to create a utopia for some people in the society while simultaneously creating a dystopia for others in the short story To Be or Not to Be by Kurt Vonnegut? How do they control the human mind and convince the population to support the idea of population control? What form of dystopian society is this? So to remember to post your initial response and then comment on one other student's post. that can be found in the Activities 3 and 4 folder. The PDF and the EdPuzzle are in the Activity 2 folder. Our Activity 5 is silent reading, so you should silently read for 90 minutes each week, and our discussion is what elements of foreshadowing are you discovering within your own book? How does your author keep you as a reader in suspense? And then comment on one other student's discussion post. If we go to our Schoology page and we look at week 14, which is the week that we will be in for this agenda, you can see here are your materials for your project. I'm just going to move from week 13. The look ahead that goes over the directions, I will move that into week 14 once we get there. But in week 14, here are all your short story options, MLA format information, citation machine, everything that you need, and the proposal that you must complete before starting your actual creation of your project. Then under Activity 2 is our short story and EdPuzzle for to be or not to be, creative writing, our discussion posts for your project where you submit your shareable link, and the to be or not to be discussion. There is also a short film that you are welcome to watch for to be or not to be, but I will be very blunt. It will not make sense if you don't read the story. There's very little dialogue, but it's really interesting. So if you read the story and find it amusing or interesting, watch the video. It does a good job. And then our silent reading discussion post. Alrighty guys, that is everything for week 14. I hope you have a wonderful holiday, and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.